Okay, this video is going to be about converting from types to a different type. We're going to start off by converting something to an integer. So let's say that we have this string here. And what we want to do is we want to add 2 to the last digit of s. So we're going to add 2 to 3. So let's get the last character and we're going to convert that to an integer. So we're going to get the last character as an integer. So I got this method here. And I have this string. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to get the last character. So let's say I'm going to make that a string first. I'm going to make the last character. Let's call it last character. And that's going to equal the substring. Let's see, s dot substring. And we're going to get the length of the substring, length of the string. And we want to start one further back, and then we're going to go all the way to the end. So I hope this gets me the length of it. What I can do is I can just print this out, and let's just see if that gets me the length of it. I'm just going to run this, see what I get here. It gave me 3. Okay, and then I returned 0, but I don't want to return that. What I want to do is I want to convert this last character to an integer. So there are 3 different ways to do this. One that's pretty handy is using this integer helper class. So I could say int n is equal to the, I'm going to parse the integer value out of this last character. So that should give me the value 3 out of the last character here. So let's just see if that works. So that way I would know that 3 plus 2, hopefully I get 5 when I run this. Yeah, I get 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. So notice that up here, I'm printing 3 plus 2 is equal to n, and as a result of my method plus 2. So this is one way by using the integer helper class. Notice that it starts with a capital I. And I'm just going to use the dot operator on this class, and that allows me to get the integer value from this character here. But there's another way. I can ask the integer class to get me the value of something, so that's kind of funny. Is that really the same thing? Let's run this guy, value of, and it runs, and yeah, that does the same thing for me. And the last way is to use the scanner class, but before I can use the scanner class, I'm going to have to import up here. So import java.util.scanner. And then down here, right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my scanner class, and I'm going to call up my parser. It's going to equal a new scanner, and it's going to parse last character. And then I'm just going to ask for my n is going to be, so I'm going to delete this here, is going to be my parser, and I'm just going to say next int. And that's as long as I know that this contains one token and an integer, this should work as well. Yeah, I got 3 plus 2 is 5. So that's how I can get the last character. Note that if I were to attempt to do, well, there are many wrong ways to go about it. I'm not going to go about the wrong way. So now let's say that we want to add 5 to the character C. So some of you might think, well, why don't I just do n is equal to 5 plus C, and then I'm going to print that out. System.out.println 5 plus C is, and then I'm going to do plus n there. And so if I run this, I get 5 plus C is 55. Oh, so this concatenated the C together. So I want to get the integer value out of that. So one of the ways I could do that, you would think, is to just do int like that. So now if I do int this way and I run it, wait, what happened? 5 plus C is 55. C is 2. So that's really not a good way of doing it. So if I want to get the integer value out of that, what did this do anyway? Um, it seemed to have added like 50 or something like that, didn't it? What if I made this 3? Here we go. Watch this. Now I got 56. So it's really kind of weird what's going on here. What it's doing is it's taking something called the ASCII value. So this gives me the ASCII value from there. And so whenever I cast a character, it's going to give me the ASCII value. So I want to get away from that. So one of the things we can do is we can make use of another helper class called the character helper class. And then I can ask the character helper class to get the numeric value of C. And what that's going to do, it's going to take that C and it's going to convert this character, and it won't give me the ASCII value. Instead, it's actually going to give me 3. So now you can see 5 plus C, where C is 3, is 8. That's exactly what I wanted, exactly what I wanted. There's also another fancy schmancy way, which is to do C minus, and then I'm going to subtract the ASCII value that is represented by 0. So this is going to give me an integer value. And then, so this gives me like 48. This gives me 50, or no, this gives me 53. No, 50. This one will give me 56. No, I don't know what it gives me. That's why I use the characters here. It'll help me out. This gives me the ASCII value for it. So dot 0, when I convert that to, or quote 0, when I convert that to an integer, this is going to give me the ASCII value of the character 0. And if I convert this to an int, okay, so I'm going to do that explicitly. When I convert this to an int, this gives me an ASCII value of 3. So if I subtract the ASCII value for 0, then the result should be a 3. And so it is. See, if I go 5 plus C is equal to 8, because I got the value of 3 from this. So that's kind of a weird way of doing it. But that's how we can convert a character to an integer value, using both the get numeric value and subtracting the character 0. Notice that I have single apostrophes here. So that was for part 1. That's where we're converting to an int. Now let's go on to part 2. I don't think I have a part 3. In part 2, what we're going to work on is converting to a string. So let's say that I want to take these two digits, digit 1 and digit 2, and I want to concatenate them together to get 12. So you would hope that I could do something like this, but when I try to run this, it tells me that these cannot be converted to a string. Well, the simplest way to get past that is to just put a quote in front of it like this, and this tells the compiler to convert it to a string. And it's very, very slick. So when I run this, it totally ran, but I didn't print it out. So let me print it out. So now I got it concatenated to be 12. It just started to put that to a 0. There's other ways of doing it. And so one way would be to use the helper class string, use the method and do value of this digit here. That's going to convert digit 1 to a string, and then I'll concatenate the digit 2 to it. So this will give me the same thing again. So I got 1 and 2 concatenated together is 12. The last thing I could do is if I had a character C and I wanted to do, let's go ahead and move this up higher so I don't have to redo things. If I had the character C and I wanted to get the character concatenated together, then what I could do is I would just use the character to string method, put that C right in there, and then I would get that character converted to a string as well. So this should give me 3 plus 2 should give me 32. But in the end, what's easiest is just to use those quotes in the beginning like this, quote plus C. That'll convert it for me. It's just so much nicer when you want to convert something to a string. It's just to put the little quotes in front of it and then start with the concatenation operator. So that's really awesome. Now we're going to do one last thing, is I'm going to sum all the digits of a string together. And this one's a little bit more interesting. So let's go ahead and I'm going to call sum all digits. And I'm just going to start with 1, 2, 3, something like that. So sum all digits, I'm going to take the string and then I'm going to get each string individually and then I'm going to add them all up. So first thing is I want to get each character, right? And so I'm going to do a for loop and I'm going to start with my index is going to equal at the beginning. And as long as my index is less than the length of the string, I should be good. And I will continue to go through my string. And now I'm going to get that letter or that digit. I'm going to keep it as a string in the beginning. So I'm going to do string.s substring. I'm going to get started my index and then I'm going to end just one more beyond that. That'll give me my s. Now I'm going to convert that to an integer. So I'm going to get my integer value from that. And so as we know, if I want to get my integer value from a string, then I'm going to do my integer parse int. I'm going to get my s there. And then I'm going to do a cumulative algorithm. So I got to start with int sum is equal to 0. So once I get my value, I'm going to add that to my sum plus equals value. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead and print it out just because I'm not doing a return value here. So let's do system.out.println and say sum of all digits in, we'll do s, it is, and then I'm just going to put the value out here, sum. So let's see if this works. Oh, I redeclared s, which is here. So what I mean to do is my single character, I'm just going to call it a ch value there. So I got the sum of all digits is in 1, 2, 3 is 6. That's absolutely correct. But notice here, I would like it if I could make it so that I could do other letters in there. So I'm going to change this up here. And I'm also going to get rid of part 1 and part 2 so I don't see those inputs anymore. And I'm just going to put random letters in here like that. So I still want to add those together. So what I need to do is I need to find out if my string here is a digit. So I'm going to change this a little bit and I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to get my character ch and then I'm going to do the char at index. And then I'm going to use the character class and I'm going to ask it is digit. And I'm going to pass in the character ch. This is going to return me a true or false. So if the character is a digit, okay, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the value from the character and then I'll sum it up. So let's see if this works. Variable declaration not allowed here. Oh, I forgot to do open brace. And then here it says the char cannot be converted to a string. So what it's saying is that integer parse int requires a string here. It won't allow a character. So how do I get that to be a string? Simple, just like that, right? Total. Now I got A1, B2, 3. When I sum up the digits, I get 6. So it discovered that all of these were valid in there. So next is I want to try it just one more different way, and that is to continue to use parse int, and I'm not going to check this out, but instead I'm going to catch an exception. So this is pretty wild. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this out, and I'm going to say the int value is equal to this, but it may not work. So sometimes it's going to be a letter, and in which case it's going to throw me an exception, and it's going to be a number format exception. And I have to put those in parentheses here. And so when I have that, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm not going to do anything here, so I'm going to ignore the error. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to try to do all this code in here. And if I get a runtime exception when parsing this because it's not a character, it's going to throw an exception. It's going to come to here. I'll ignore it, and then I'll keep on going. So when I run this, that happened. So let me just show that this worked here. Is I'm going to system.out.println. I'm going to say caught an exception, and that way we can see that I have that in there. Caught an exception twice. So a lot of things in here. We'll learn more about exceptions and try catch, but we learned about how to parse strings and characters and convert them to integers. We did a cumulative sum algorithm here. We used helper classes, integer parse int. We used a helper class character. We used the helper, even the helper class string. We did parse int, value of is digit. And then we did get numeric value. So let's just quickly review how we can convert a character to a type string. We have a character that might be equal to the character 3, and we could do string.value of. Easiest way is the quotes plus C, and then we can use character.toString. If we want to convert a string to an integer, which is a little bit tougher, again, we have three ways. We can parse int, which is a very common and easy way, along with integer.value of. And lastly, not really the most advised, you can use a scanner to parse the integer. These are definitely better, and we have try catch exceptions with those. And if we want to convert a character to an integer, a very common and makes a lot of sense is character.get numeric value with the character in there. If the character has 3, this will return 3 into the integer. And a little less intuitive is to subtract the character 0, and that will give you the ASCII value for 0. But when you subtract it, then it's going to give you the 3. A little less intuitive.